let's take a look at what Matthew McConaughey is talking about these days.
One of the things that struck me in reading the book is that you're someone who has lived very full lives on what seemed to me both sides of the divide. You grew up in Southwest Texas. You're also very much part of Hollywood, which you call at one point in the book, you're mistress of 2 decades, two very different cultures. What have you learned both about what divides us and what can bring cultures together?
Great question. Boy, this answer should be good, or at least I hope we hope we have a good one, right? Because this is the big question. And I think one is realizing that it's not a novel question. You know, if you look at the maps where people voted this year, it's like, oh, okay, that's similar map for over 150 years. I think what this year's election did is expose what we all kind of didn't really want to say out loud, is that there is a great divide, and there has been a great divide.
He does look like the bad guy from Far Cry
My
5.
hunch is that moving forward in this time where people have run to the extremes, and mind you, I will say, I'm happy to say that I've talked to quite a few people who are feeling buyer's remorse for running to those extremes, because I think they're looking around going, oh, I'm not sure this is really, I agree with everyone I'm at the table with here. My hunch is that there's a common denominator of values that we can all agree on, that are bipartisan, non-denominational, that we can say, oh yeah, I agree on that. Yep, I understand that we
Which values, though?
should all be responsible for ourselves, and that will give us freedom tomorrow. That we should be responsible also and have some empathy for others. Yep, accountability, that's a good one. I can agree with that. Yep, if I agree to say I'll do what I say I'll tell you I'll do, and I can expect you to agree on the same thing.
But so part of the issue with this, guys, is when people say, like, we can agree on certain things, that's true, but the methods of carrying out these sorts of agreements tend to vary wildly. Like, what does personal responsibility look like to the average Republican? What does personal responsibility look like to the average Democrat? I think that these qualities, while we both sides can agree that it's like a good thing, I think that the way that it's interpreted by others, like across the political spectrum, is very, very different. I hope Trump can't go in 2024. In Brazil, we are so happy with Biden win, because give us a hope Bolsonaro not win in the next election in Brazil in 2022. Charlie Grant, I really hope you guys are able to get rid of Bolsonaro. He seems like he's been an absolute travesty for your country, in just horrific ways. So I'm wishing you all the best. We have a number of people who watch the show from Brazil. We talked a little bit about the Brazilian elections last week, and it was really, really good. We have Venom Jesus, friend of the show. He comes on and we talk about Brazilian politics and like all that good stuff. So let's see. Anyway, the issue is you get these people agreeing on both sides of the aisle that, yes, personal responsibility is good, but then everyone across the political spectrum has different interpretations of how that should be translated into law and enforced and all of that other stuff.
We can start to bind some social contracts again. We're in a great time of distrust. We don't know who to believe. Our social contracts are broken with each other. We don't have expectations of each other, and that leads to us not having expectations of ourselves. Well, that becomes sort of a recipe for some sort of, chaos or anarchy in a lonely place. I think that we should really work on breaking down what we consider to be a contradiction, which is the selfish choice and the selfless choice, the choice for I and the choice for we. I don't believe those are as contradictory as we make them out to be. There is a choice, I believe, that you can make that is also best for the most amount of people. There is a choice that I can make that may be the best choice for the most amount of people. We look at responsibility. Now that it takes away my freedom. No, responsibility can actually give us freedom. It makes it about more than makes our freedom be more than about entertainment. And it leads to a bit of an ascension in life, a bit of an evolution for us as individuals and as a culture, as people, species.
All of this sounds nice, but he's not actually saying much, except, I guess, like, uh, both like Antifa and the Proud Boys are the same. They're both the same. And he's also trying to say that like doing the option that's the best for everyone isn't inherently contradictory with doing the option that's the best for you, except that that's fundamentally not true in capitalism. One of the best ways to get ahead in capitalism is to fuck other people over. Like, guys, do you think that like chemical companies dump their waste products in like water reservoirs because they're like mustache twirling villains, or do they do it because by dumping that waste in a water system somewhere, they are able to save money and make more money and enrich themselves? They do the option that is better for them at the expense of everyone else in their community. And this is true for a lot of different companies, in a variety of different ways. Um, oh yeah, like capitalists love economic crashes because it means they can come in, they can buy things for super cheap, and then when the economy bounces back, boom, they just made a profit of like uh, unimaginable amounts of wealth. So, um, this is the kind of like stance where it seems fueled by a lot of naivety. Like it just seems like the idea that like you can have your cake and eat it too. You can do what's best for you while also doing what's best for society. And that's not necessarily true all the time. You can like oftentimes maximizing your own profit, maximizing your own good comes at the expense of suppressing the rest of society.
I think values is the place that people can say, hey, here's my solid stepping stone, that I'll step forward and say I agree with you, where we can have a conversation without a condemnation. I was thinking about this the other day. I write in the book, you can't.
Also, that's true. I like to have conversation without condemnation. I would much rather understand someone than yell at someone on Twitch. I would much rather have a discussion with somebody rather than like just get angry. I don't feel like that's productive. Getting angry isn't productive.
You can't have unity without confrontation.
Correction. Getting angry is sometimes productive, just not when it comes to dialogue. I don't think it's productive when it comes to dialogue. Anger is very useful for other things in a political sphere. Um,
So, and I believe that. And I would argue that in many ways today, we don't even have true confrontation. Because I would argue that I think to have true confrontation, you have to at least validate and legitimize the opposition's point of view, even if you disagree with it. But we're in a spot now where we don't even validate it. We make that person, you disagree with me, I make you persona non grata. You are illegitimate, you're evil, you're done. You should disappear. You do not.
well, again, this can sometimes be true though. Like when somebody's like when somebody's like, yeah, I don't agree with trans rights, or like, I don't think trans people should be like, I think that's too weird. We shouldn't let people do that. Stuff like that. Yeah, I mean maybe there are people out there who are going to be alienated by you and think that you're evil for like wanting to eliminate them or like keep them out of society, um, or you want to put them in danger. The yeah, when you advocate for policies that directly harm people in that way, yeah, maybe you thinking that they're evil is not an illogical response.
Not count. That's not true confrontation. Therefore, that's not going to lead to any kind of unifying of people.
Okay, I was actually expecting this to be far more interesting than it was. This was a lot of platitudes. I think this year's election is expose what we all kind of didn't really want to say out loud. Yeah, like I don't think he actually said anything of substance there, unfortunately.